Well, good morning and welcome to Move Early, Move Often. It is Wobbly Wednesday, and I am Blake Martin. Hey, Wobbly Wednesdays are all about balancing, and some big ideas in balancing are the way we hold our center of mass, the base of support, that is how wide your knees or hands are spread if you're trying to balance on them, as well as independent movement of your torso and limbs and core stability. Today, we're going to play a bit of a game. It's a good way of practicing balancing stuff. You're going to need two small objects. You could take your socks and just kind of fold them and fold them over on themselves. That would work. Or if you happen to live in a house with a cat, you might have cat toys. Um, I don't know what this is, but it's filled with catnip, and I really enjoy it. And then I've also got this mouse. So I think for the sake of just keeping it interesting, I'm going to use a mouse and a small ball with a bell in it. Okay, we're just going to move into the space and do a little bit of a warm up. You can do this standing. I'm going to do it kneeling. You'll need a mat, something to kind of keep you from protect your knees a bit. And again, if your knees are sore, then obviously we're going to want to care for them, either put lots of padding under them. There are other ways to do this. One thing you can do as well, if you're on your knees, is you can place a pillow behind your knees like this to sit back, and it does provide some comfort. But we'll get to what we're doing, and we'll see how it works. So let's just begin. We're going to just begin with a reach over the top to one side. And we're just going to do this a few times. Anchor your hip down on the opposite side to where you're reaching. Really reach over, because we will be reaching. That's the big thing we're going to be doing today. And then we're going to reach across our knee in front. So a little bit of a twist. Do the same thing to the opposite side. Come back to the first side. And we're just doing this a few times. One more time each side. And just kind of do a little bit of a torso rotation, like a whirlpool. Your whole torso is moving around, keeping your hips anchored. Okay, so that's really important here. Keeping our hips anchored, opposite direction. All right. So we've got our objects here. You have a couple of objects. What I want you to do is I want you to take one object and place it out nice and far, about at the end of your hand's reach, without really leaning over. I don't want you to really lean over. Just at the end of your hand's reach. And do the same thing on the opposite side. And then we're just going to reach over, and I want you to sense, just as you're reaching for the object, how your hip shifts. Okay, just feel how you need to reach and how your hip shifts as you do that. And pick up the object without leaning on it or touching the floor. And set it back down. See if you can set it in the same place. And the same thing opposite side. Reaching. Don't grab it just yet. Just feel how your hips shift. I want you to have a sense of how your balance is changing. And on the third reach, let's go. Let's actually pick it up. Back down. Now, if you're like me at all, you'll notice that your knee came up just a little bit. So we're going to make this a little more difficult. What I want you to do is bring the objects in so that they're in easy reach. They're quite an easy reach, maybe even a little bit more. Right? We're going to come up and we're going to go with our toes under, kneel. and we're going to lift one leg. And we're going to reach over. And we're going to try and pick up the object. Okay? So, toes under stance. And on the side that you're balancing on one knee, one toe. And we're going to try and pick up that object without touching your knee, without leaning on the object, and without touching the ground. That one side. Let's do that 3 times on that side. And notice how you have to counterbalance with your opposite leg. 3rd time is a charm. There we go. Now let's do it on the opposite side. I'm doing it on my left. So if you were doing it on your left first, you'll do your right now. Or vice versa. So I'm reaching for this mouse. And then pick it up. Try to put it back down in the same spot without leaning on it or touching the floor. And pick it up. Back down. All right. So obviously that's more difficult and it's more challenging. And what I want you to do now is just move the ball just a little bit further away, closer to where it was when we first started. Your object, your sock, whatever it is. We're going to go again. What you're going to have to do now is you're going to have to reach your leg to counterbalance and use your arm as well. So let's try that. So we're on the toes curled, balancing on one knee. And we're going to reach, we're going to do that 3 times. 3 reaches. And the game is try to reach the ball without leaning on it or touching your knee or your hand to the ground. Yay. This is a real balance challenge. You're having to use all these little muscles around your hips. It's time number 2. All these stabilizing muscles in your hips and then your core are necessary for this particular balance challenge. That's 2 times for me. And 3, but that was a near fall. I don't know if I want to count that one. And opposite leg, toes curled, opposite side. There's one. And again, I have to use my opposite leg to extend and balance, to counterbalance me. And 4. That was 3. I said 4. And coming back. All right. We're going to take one of the objects. It doesn't matter which one. After that 3. And we're going to come into the forward space. So same problem. Single knee, toes curled. And we're going to reach into the forward space and get that object. Now, if you just do toes curled and reach with both feet down, try it with each hand. And if you can kind of do it without falling over, then that's good. And that suggests that that's a pretty good distance. If you're falling all over here, that's probably, if you're already falling here, that's too far. So it's good to have it about the distance that you can do it successfully. I can feel my toes want to come up and so we know that we're at a good distance. So I'm going to do the same thing, but on one knee. So let's do the same thing. One knee, reaching for this object. I didn't really succeed there. I just kind of snatched it. So I'm going to try again. Try and do it with control. There we go. There's one. Let's do it 3 times. I'm just going to set it down. Try it a second time. Reaching that opposite leg back, balancing on one knee. Three times. The third time I'm getting a better strategy here for my body. And then opposite leg. Opposite leg. Reaching. Sit back down. Use that leg for counterbalance. Be held in through your torso. Long, long torso. You should almost feel like your belly button is pulled back to your spine. Gives you that good core support. Again, I developed a strategy as I went through. Great. So that was with your toes curled. We can also do this activity with our toes under. So with our toes under, we don't have the sensitivity of the sensors, pressure sensors on the bottom of our foot. And so this activity becomes a completely different challenge when the toes are not curled. So with the back of your toes down, let's try reaching forward. Doing the forward reach version of this. And let's do that 2 times each side, just so we can get an experience of it. And you'll notice it is not quite the same activity. You're taking away an important sensory apparatus. No. And down. 2 times each side, 2 times on the opposite side now. Toes down. Taking away some of that important sensory feedback. And last time, toes curled down. Back down. And I fell off my knee. All right, let's just take a moment to be nice and stable and balanced. We've done some real challenging stuff, so let's just kind of sit and bring your hips over your heels. Really feel them centered over your heels. All right, just rock back and forth a little bit to center them. And now forward and back, bring your shoulders so that they're over top of your hips, over top of your heels. Knees are slightly parted. Bring your chin down and back, and your ears are over your shoulders. Open your shoulders nice and wide. Feel that sense of balance between your 2 knees, nice and tall. The crown of your head reaches toward the sky as your pelvis reaches down to the earth. You're pulled between these 2 extremities. And breathe deeply and feel just how your body has worked, even in those simple balances, how you've had to use counterbalancing, core support, independent limb and torso movement, and the shifting base of support and compensations in your limbs to do those balance activities. And try to remember when you're balancing, sometimes you have to reach out a limb, an arm, or a leg in order to achieve your goals. You've moved early. I hope you remember to move often. I hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll see you back tomorrow for Throwdown Thursday. Take care.